All right, fellas, just make it happen in one take. I'm ready. Roll camera. What up, fellas? This is Quan from Kicksofire.com, and I'm here with one of our Gallardo's Times Square, New York City locations. For a while, you guys, the forum was asking me if I can put the video together and explain about the Lamborghini e-gear transmission and how it's different compared to Lamborghini manual transmission. So I'm going to throw this quick video and try to do my best and explain and make it happen. If I'm missing anything, please feel free to find me and ask me your questions. So the story is, Lamborghini started to offer two choices of transmission. First, conventional 6-speed manual transmissions offer only one mode, meaning you just need a simple traditional stick to shift gears. Done. Second, 6-speed electro-hydraulic control transmission, which Lamborghini abbreviate to e-gear, offer three options: auto, normal, and sports. In automatic mode, Gallardo's ECU, aka electronic control unit, is responsible to deciding on the gears changes. In manual, user gives the ECU the input which gear to be engaged by using two paddles behind the wheel. And there's also one button on the left side of the dashboard for reverse. Finally, sports, same as a normal, but even more dynamic and a faster shipment. If you own the Gallardo, I will highly recommend you to stick with the sports. Stick with the sport. I said it 2 times, save your clutch life. All right, let's make it happen on the bird eye view on this. This is the engine, that's the bell housing, and that's the transmission, okay? All right, wait a minute. Let's just do the quick intro on Gallardo's engine for those fellows who haven't seen the Gallardo's engine. Fellows, try to catch me on this. This Gallardo is a V10 90-degree DOHC 4-valve, meaning it's a V-shaped engine with a 90-degree split, 10-cylinder in 2 banks. DOHC, double overhead camshaft, meaning you have 2 separate camshaft for each bank. Right side of intake camshaft, 07 Lima 109 101 Romeo. Right side of exhaust, 07 Lima 109 102 Papa. Then you have a left intake, 07 Lima 109 101 Sierra. Left exhaust camshaft, 07 Lima 109 102 Quebec. Valves, 4 valves per cylinder. 2 for intake, 2 for exhaust. Total is 40 valves. Intake valves, 06 Delta 109 601 Hotel. Exhaust valve, 06 Delta 1096 11 Hotel. Inside each cylinder, we have piston, 07 Lima 107 100 Alpha Quebec, or 07 Lima 107 100 Alpha Papa. All 10 pistons inside the cylinder are connected to the one crankshaft by connecting rod. 07 Lima 105 401 Delta. Let's talk about the crankshaft. 07 Lima 105 019 Charlie. Crankshaft is located right at the bottom, sticking out toward the transmission. And that's the outer shaft of the engine where you mount your flywheel. Flywheel is a heavy rotating disc, and it's rotate along with the crankshaft. Flywheel spins all the time once the engine is started. It will only stop when the engine stops. So when you're looking at your tachometer, it will tell you the working speed of your engine in RPM, and that's how fast your engine is turning the flywheel, not your car wheel. Engine of your car creates power and send it to the crankshaft and then flywheel. But the power produced by the engine is too high to produce a usable speed for the drivers. The average engine operates at the high rotational speed anywhere from 600 to 7,000 RPMs, while wheel rotate at a slower rate anywhere from 0 to 1800 RPMs. So if you connect your wheel directly to the flywheel, then you will not only be subject to high speed, you also won't be able to control the speed or even to able to come to complete stop. And that's where the transmission comes in. The transmission is able to keep both your engine RPM and RPM of your wheel at the optimal rate, and it sends power to differential, which turns the wheel. It does this all through the uses of the gear ratio. So the bottom line is, engine creates the power while transmission main role is to utilize this power to move the wheel. Your engine spins all the time, but the car wheel doesn't. In order the car to stop without killing the engine, the wheel needs to be disconnected from the engine somehow. That's where the clutch kit or the torque converter comes in. The clutch kit or the torque converter allows us to smooth engage or disengage a spinning engine to a non-spinning transmission by controlling the slippage between them. Again, the power from the engine must be transmitted through the clutch kit or a torque converter to transmission's input shaft. This part in the middle of the engine and the transmission called a bell housing, where a clutch kit or a torque converter sits. Let's play clutch and a torque converter. Simple. If this was a manual car, then your input shaft connected to the engine via clutch and a pressure plate in the middle. If this was an automatic car, then the transmission input shaft connected to the engine via torque converter in the middle instead of the clutch. Let's clean it up. Engine, flywheel, torque converter, transmission equal to automatic car. Engine, flywheel, clutch, Transmission equal to manual car. So now we know clutches for the manual cars and the torque converters for the automatic cars. Both sit in between the engine and the transmission, has the same exact job, through it works in a different way. Confusion. Since we have a 3 option in E-gear, automatic, normal, and sport. So, is E-gear transmission is automatic? No. E-gear is definitely not an automatic transmission. Easier to understand. If you're planning to purchase a Gallardo, you have a 2 option. Number 1, 6-speed manual. If you pick this option, then Lamborghini will install 6-speed manual kit mount on the top of your transmission. Now you have a stick to shift the gears. Number 2, E-gear. If you pick this option, then Lamborghini will install E-gear assembly kit and mount it on your transmission, which is controlled by the 2 paddle behind the steering wheel, and also the button on the left hand side on the dashboard for reverse. So we're clear, 6-speed E-gear and 6-speed manual have exact same transmission. So what is E-gear assembly kit? It has actuator, accumulator, all hydraulic line, sensor, F1 pump, and reservoir. It's like 45 different parts together make this assembly, including nut, bolt, clamp, etc. I know this because all the parts have a different number, and it's like 41 to 45. Now, where did E-gears come from? So let's be clear, Lamborghini did not invent the E-gear. E-gear history. Back in the days, British race car designer and also a Formula 1 engineer named John Bernard. He's the guy who introduced the first semi-automatic gearbox and also the first carbon fiber composite chassis. He was hired by the McLaren team boss Ron Dennis somewhere in 1980 to join the team to work on a McLaren MP4. MP4 stands for McLaren Project 4. And that will be the first carbon fiber composite chassis car in Formula 1 history. And that car will set the benchmark for Formula 1 design from that day on. During his time with the team, McLaren became a dominating force within Formula 1. And by the time John departed from McLaren, his car earned 31 Grand Prix victories for the team and gave the team back-to-back the championship from 84 and 85. Well, Bernard left McLaren for Ferrari in 1986, and first car he found himself involved with, it was F187 and an updated F188C. Don't know what the Ron Dennis did before the Bernard arrived to work with the team. The original car designer was actually fired, and the direction of the design was not the Bernard wanted, but he was forced to work with that. However, he was about to introduce another revolution in the semi-automatic gearbox, the first robotized gearbox created for the Formula 1. So he began to design a new car in 1987, Ferrari 640, also known as Ferrari F189, with the intent of being used during the 1988 season. However, continuously problem with the car's revolutionary semi-automatic gearbox, the team was forced to use the turbocharged F187 and 88C in 1988. By the way, turbocharging was banned in F1, 89, and 90. Well, the semi-automatic gearbox proved to be very unreliable. However, later on, problem with the semi-automatic gearbox was found, and it was not having enough power from the battery. With the help of electrical expert from the team sponsor, Magneti Marelli, the power supply to gearbox was fixed, and 640 was back. In 1988, 40th season Formula 1 Ferrari 640 debuted in Brazilian Grand Prix. It was the first semi-automatic gearbox seen in Formula 1 history. 640 driven by British racer Nigel Mansell in his first season with the team, and Austria's Gerhard Berger's got 3 Grand Prix. Brazilian, Hungarian, Portuguese, second place in the France, Britain, and a third place in the Germany and Belgium. So back to the topic. Now today, the same tech called robotized gearbox system developed by Italian company Magneti Marelli, if you look at the actuator, you will really see their name, not Lamborghini. They supply their robotized gearbox system to all manufacturers of a super sports car. Ferrari, they call it F1. You have a Maserati, same thing. Aston Martin, Lamborghini call it E-gear, and Audi. And they all have a same robotized gearbox system, however, they call it with the different names. Alright, back to the E-gear kit, aka robotized gearbox system. It was the first time integrated with a single kit with the electronic control unit and the hydraulic actuator system that engages and disengages the clutch while executing the gear shifts. Significant improvement in the performance, both in the term of gear shift speed and comfort. During this operation, a communication is sent to the engine control unit through the CAN bus network, aka control area network, to ignore the drive torque request coming from accelerator paddle. So, what does E-gear assembly kit do? As I said before, it has an F1 pump, accumulator, all hydraulic lines, actuator, sensor, and reservoir. Alright, let's travel to the other side where we can see the other part of the E-gear where this big guy is connected to, technically, which is right behind the passenger seat. Okay, this right up there, that's your valve group. 086-325-181 Charlie. And you have a bunch of stuff connected to assemble this part of the E-gear. This is your oil tank kit. 086-325-161. And that's the pipe is going to your electric pump right behind there. This is the one that's creating hydraulic pressure. Part number is 086-901-137. This little man right up there is your accumulator, 086-325-141. Then you have a solenoid block, which opens and closes electric valve. Here is the two valves, 086-325-293. It's EV1 and EV2. And there's the bottom one, there's the E-gear fuel pipe. It goes to your transmission at the bottom through this hydraulic quick connect or disconnect kit, 086-325-089. Then the other side, you have a three more valve, 086-325-295, EV3, 4, and 5. So these valves open up the passageway that allow pressurized hydraulic fluid to travel to the actuator and clutch release bearing via hydraulic hoses.